turns out to be the case. One of the interesting things from her review of the literature is we tend to focus on measuring student achievement, the cognitive outcomes of students, and the teacher effectiveness literature looks at teachers' attitudes teachers' attitudes, the affect a little bit more heavily. And, there's variations in between. But the praxis would fit in that grid that looks at teachers' content knowledge, their cognition. Now, programs like Teach for America, for example, are based on that philosophy that what they value is the teacher content knowledge. So if you've got knowledge of how to teach your subject or knowledge of what your subject is, then that will automatically translate into effective pedagogy, effective practical intelligence. I think they spend less time emphasizing some of these other components from my understanding. And so my problem is that I think that you need to focus, obviously on the broader construct. So content knowledge is important, but just like our study found, there's these three dimensions that matter. There's this content knowledge is important, there's professional orientation or pedagogical skill, and there's this social orientation. And if you ignore those, then you're not going to have effective teacher training programs. With regard to the federal government emphasizing student outcomes, I think that's, again, one piece of the puzzle, but there's a lot of factors that influence student outcomes that may or may not be within direct control of the teacher, and that can be problematic. If the teacher could be doing everything in the world that's excellent, that we know from research the best practices of what you're supposed to do in the classroom, but a student just might not be motivated, or they might not have resources at home that they need to be able to complete their homework or something like that. These things are outside of the teacher's control, direct control. And so I think, defining a teacher on that basis alone of just those student outcomes is problematic. Yeah.